Hey, what's going on, guys? Calvin Russell here, managing broker for Park Place Realty. So let's go to get this video started. I'm going to go ahead and refresh my Facebook just in case you guys got questions as I'm going through this, okay? So today we're going to talk about, oh, make sure my volume is off because don't want that issue. So, oh, see, as you guys can see, you ain't got to be the sharpest to do this, okay? So hold on. Let me get this right. Okay, now we good. Okay, so now let me go ahead and go here. Okay, we're almost there. Okay, perfect. Let's do it. Okay, so now how much money do we need to have saved in order to purchase property? Okay, now that could be a single family home, a rental property. Those are the most common properties that are being purchased. Okay, so it really depends on what type of loan do you have. So let's go into just a quick short version of the loans real quick. Okay, so you got two types of loans. Okay, you have FHA, and there's other variables to FHA, like FHA 203K, but we'll just keep it real simple. An FHA, and you also have, we'll go VA, and we'll also go conventional. Okay, so we'll go VA, and then you also have conventional. Well, I wasn't prepared to write all of that, but you guys get the picture, okay? So, so now with FHA, you're gonna need 3.5% down of the purchase price, okay? So that's gonna be 3.5%, and all of this is based on the purchase price. So for an example, we're just gonna go ahead and use, let's say, 250,000. Now, of course, that the amount doesn't necessarily play that much of a role, but I'll kind of go into how it could, a little bit later. But of course, let's just keep it simple for now. So this will be the price that we're going for, as an example. Okay, so we'll go price, and this is based on, of course, of the purchase price. Okay, so what would that equal? So let me go ahead and get my calculator, because I'm not doing this off the bat. So let's go ahead and go here. That'd be 250,000 times 3.5%. That's going to be 8750. Okay. So in this example, if you were going FHA at minimum, now this is not everything you need, because what are we missing? We are also missing our closing cost, okay? We'll go into that a little bit shortly here, okay? So based on this $250,000 price, you're gonna need 3.5% down, and that's based on that price there. That would be $8,750, okay? Now I know what you're thinking. Well, Calvin, I've talked to people, they didn't have to bring anything to the table. We'll go into that in a second, okay? Then you have a VA loan. Now, with a VA loan, this is part of the Veterans Administration, and as long as you left in good standing, I forgot the word for it, but as long as you left in good standing, you most definitely can take advantage of that. Do you know how many people that qualify for a VA loan and they haven't taken advantage of it yet? Some people have no idea that they can even get a VA loan, and some people qualify for the VA loan, but their credit score doesn't qualify. So if you need help with any of that, our second company, 850 Club Credit, can help you for sure, okay? Now with VA, as far as the down payment goes, because now we're just talking about the down payment for now, there's nothing needed, okay? So there's $0 needed if you can get a VA loan, okay? So for those who don't know, this is if you have a military background, and then so you'll know, because if you've done some military, if you've had a military background, if you've served, it most definitely makes sense to reach out to the VA and find out, if you qualify. Okay. Now the VA doesn't necessarily do the loan, but they let you know if you meet the qualifications. I forgot the word for it, but it's essentially saying that you qualify to go ahead and start the process with a lender as far as your standing with the VA. Okay. Next would be conventional. Now with conventional, we're going to draw a little bit of a line here, because there's a couple different conventional loans, and these are going to be based on a couple different type of factors. Okay, so there is a 3% down conventional. There is a 5% down conventional. There is a 10% down conventional, and there's also a 20% down conventional, okay? And I also happened, let me actually erase this because I actually saw something kind of weird. I had a client where just because of the numbers, okay, he qualified for 15% down. So better than 20%, right? And then you have 20%. Okay? So now the reason why conventional is like that, to get a conventional loan, now you're probably like, well, why would I want to get a conventional loan if it's going to have me paying more? Well, that's because you can only have one FHA per social and almost one FHA per household, almost, depending on the situation. But to keep things simple, let's say it's just you, and let's say your first house, you go FHA. You want to put 3.5% down, and you say, okay, I now want to buy another property without selling my first property. You can do that. That next loan will be conventional. Now, can you, go ahead and then refinance this FHA to a conventional to open up another FHA? You most definitely could, but there's a couple different parameters with that. But again, let's keep this simple. You go to first house FHA, the next home is going to be conventional, and as long as you are, this determines, this number right here is going to be based on whether you're going to be living in the property or not, okay? Credit plays a role too, debt to income plays a role too, because if you're going to be living inside of the property, okay, you may qualify for this range up here, okay? 10% down, 5% down, 3% down. Okay, and then these ranges here, these could also be the case if you're moving inside the property, but it just really depends on your situation, okay? But again, this is where you'll find out, but everyone most of the time is going to start here. Now, there's nothing wrong with starting here as well too. If you do start here as your first property, it's more than likely going to be in this range on average, okay? Did I lose anyone? I don't see any questions. That means you guys are good to go, okay? Make sure you guys share this information too. Everybody says they want to live in a good neighborhood. You say you got good friends. Share this information with them. It costs nothing to share it, right? Because this is how you create a good neighborhood. You tell your good friends take the good information, all right? So this is where you're going to be right off the back there, all right? Now, let's go into what other costs are going to be due. So I'm going to go ahead and make a separate box here, okay? Because we got that now. We have the understanding of what the down payment is for the property. Let's go into closing costs, okay? Now, closing costs are going to kind of vary on a few different things, okay? All right, so now I'm going to give you the most common types of closing costs, and I'll just leave some stuff title fees because it's a lot of stuff that's wrapped into the actual title itself. But things that have nothing to do with the title are going to be things that have to be, like, for example, you have to pay for your survey. Now, this is not something that you have to necessarily, you're not paying them directly. Your attorney's going to set all that up. The title company and the attorney, they go ahead and work all that stuff out. Then, of course, speaking of which, you have your attorney. Okay. Now, attorneys can range. I've seen attorneys as low as like $350. I've seen attorneys as high as $1,000. Everybody's going to be different. But I would say the average cost is probably somewhere between about $500, $550 for an attorney, plus or minus. Okay. So you got the survey, and then of course you have the attorney. Okay. Then of course you're going to have your tax proration. Okay, so for example, if you're moving into an area where the taxes are higher, that sometimes, depending on what time of year you purchase, that may actually bring down, the amount of money you need to bring in total because you're in a high tax area. And then, of course, you're going to get a tax credit depending on what time of the year you purchase, okay? Next would end up being if you're obviously in a lower tax area. And by the way, if you watch this video and you're living in Illinois, me personally, anything I was considered low taxes under $5,000. Higher taxes would be over $5,000. And the reason why I bring that up is because there are more properties that are under $5,000. And then obviously, if you start changing neighborhoods, going into the suburbs, going into higher priced areas in general, then the taxes are going to usually be a little bit higher. Okay. Why do taxes play a role? We already talked about that in the monthly payment, but this plays a role too because that can adjust what's due at closing. Okay, and so then you're gonna have your title fees. Okay. So I'm just gonna kind of group everything into title fees. That's gonna be like your transfer stamps, your water certification, a few other things that are kind of in there as well too. The overall title company is gonna charge you to actually put this entire deal together. So all of this can vary. But what a good number that people kind of use traditionally is going to be like about 6% or so. Honestly, I think it's about like 4.5% to be totally honest, okay? So let's say, for example, and when they say 6%, they're kind of including this in a sense. So that's going to put you, so if I could put like a percentage on it, let's go ahead and do that. So that'll be 250 times about 4.5%. Yeah, that's about, that's close. So I'll go ahead and go 3%, 250 times 3%. Okay, cool. So in total, so it's good to like kind of get a gauge on this. You're kind of going to be around about 3% of the purchase price, okay? It's not necessarily based on the purchase price itself, but it kind of gives you a range of where you're going to be at, okay? Because I have different what we call settlement statements, and literally people that have bought this, a similar $250,000 home or a similar price home, and what they had to bring to the closing table was different because the taxes were different, the title company they went to were different. So this is just giving you guys an average of what you're going to be looking at. So let's say, for example, 250,000 times, let's say 3%, that's going to give you about 7,500 there. Now again, I know what you're thinking. Calvin, we're already at over $15,000 for a property. I know my friend didn't have $15,000. How did they get this house? I'm going to go into that. And I'm not saying that there's a lot of people who do have that kind of money. So let's go into that. All right, so now that's where you're at is going to be at that 7,500. So we're going to go ahead and add that up. So we'll make another little box here. We'll make another box here. So that's about 7,500. We got that number, right? 3% times that, and again, just an average. So that's 7,500 plus your down payment, okay? So you're either going to be here, or if you're conventional, you're going to be here. Most people are going to be here, and there's nothing wrong with being in any one of these categories. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being in any type of these categories. At the end of the day, you're closing on a home. Now, if you want to get technical, people start going into PMI and stuff like that. Guys, you can always refinance, so it's not the end of the world. It's just like your car. If your credit was not the best when you bought the car, in particular, then a lot of people think that they're stuck in that type of situation. You can easily refinance out of this stuff, guys. You're never stuck. Don't ever feel like you're stuck. One thing for sure is that you do have to pay to stay somewhere, right? Either you staying with your friends, you staying with your family, either you own it or you got a cash app type of situation, relationship going on. I don't know. We ain't gonna judge you. All we know is we're gonna make it work for you, okay? So that's gonna put you, let's say here, at 87.50, okay? And we're just gonna add that up, 87.50, and that's gonna put you, as an example, around about $16,250, okay? Now again, this is an average of where you're gonna be at. How do we get this number down, okay? How do we get this 16,250 number down? I'm gonna go ahead and put it up here because we're gonna talk about some ways to get that number down, okay? So 16,250, all right? I'm gonna erase some stuff, all right? So you guys can see by the way, if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can put the comments there, or you can, oh, my bad, I see comments right here. My bad, guys. All right, so let's see here, the comment. For some reason, I can't see the comments. Let me bounce out of this and come back. Okay, let me go back in. Okay. Perfect. Ha, look at that. So, Corey, great answer. Corey says honorable discharge. You're absolutely correct on that. For some reason, it is not. I'm not able to see you guys' comments. Let me just refresh my page here. Okay, now I got action. All right, there we go. Okay, cool. Okay, so I can see majority of the comments, but for whatever reason, I can't see all of it. Thank you, Rochelle, for sharing. Well, not Rochelle, of course. Thanks, Vivian, for sharing. Thanks again for Tina. Of course, JD, most definitely appreciate it. And Corey, like she said, an honorable discharge. Yes, you are absolutely correct on that. So let me go ahead and keep erasing this. I'll move a little bit faster, okay? I know y'all got short attention spans. Y'all on Facebook. All it takes is one thing that you're interested in, and y'all are gone, all right? So now, how do we bring this amount of money down, okay? So how can we reduce our closing costs? Okay. Number one is you're going to get what we call DPA. Okay. That's also known as down payment assistance. Okay. Down payment assistance. Okay, so now down payment assistance, there's a lot of different types of down payment assistance plans that are out there. There are some that are percentage based. There are some that are full dollar amounts. Of course, the one that everybody knows the most is the IDA program, okay? And I believe I'm putting this up here right. And again, this is just an example, okay? And this is a program that's only in Illinois. And essentially, there's different forms of the IDA program as well, too. The most popular is going to be $7,500. So you can easily see how $7,500 as an example, okay? So let's just say $7,500. So if you got that, that would be $16,250 minus $7,500, okay? That's going to put you at about $8,750 if, as an example. So I'm going to put this in a box, and we'll just put example, okay? And that's going to put you at $8,750, okay? All right, but wait, there's more, right? Then there's also different type of like neighborhood programs. Don't judge me. I don't know. I know how to spell neighborhood, but I forgot if the I comes before the E comes before the I. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay, cool. So, but then you have neighborhood programs that are available too, and some are anywhere between $5,000 all the way up to some can be as high as about I think about $25,000, the highest I've seen. But again, these programs aren't always around. They come and they go, okay? And then some of them allow you to combine different types of scenarios. Some go off the purchase price, some go off the zip code, some go off of the address. So this is where your lender is going to come in and let you know if they partner with some of these programs. This is not that common, okay? They are available, but it's not that popular just because they come, they go. You also have to qualify. Your income has to be at a certain point. You can't make a certain amount for the neighborhood, the property that you're living in. So there's a few qualifications here versus this one is a little bit easier to qualify for. This one you just got to be a 640, and then there are some income qualifications as well too. But the income qualifications are usually fairly feasible. Like a good amount of people are going to qualify, for this. It's not low income or anything like that. It's actually pretty average income. And they even go up to over 100,000 for combined income. But then they start counting people that's over 18 and stuff like that. So again, this is where your lender is going to come in. It's okay to ask your lender, hey lender, what programs do I qualify for? Now I'm going to let you know right off the bat. If your credit score is under 640, you're not going to qualify for a lot of programs that are out there, okay? There are some programs that are at the 620 range, but then the math has to make sense to you, not to the lender. Remember, you are the one that controls this entire process, but it's okay if you don't qualify because there's other ways to save money, okay? Then we're going to go into number 3. Now, the reason why I'm making this number 3 is because it's not popular right now because of the market. And that's what we call seller closing cost assistance, okay? So seller closing cost assistance, okay? Okay, so now this can vary. Now I have people who that have literally watched this video in the past, and they were not necessarily this video, but they've been watching me for quite some time, and they closed on their property. And there were some people, luckily, where like they bought a property over a year ago, and they were able to not bring anything to the table. That's because like I don't know if it was just me, but I consider myself the king of seller closing cost assistance, but the market was a little bit different. I mean, we were getting $5,000, $8,000, $12,000, $13,000 from the seller, but I made the numbers where it made sense to them. Okay, so now let's say for an example here that we were able to go ahead and get an additional, again, an example. So now we got $7,500 item money, right? So we got that. Now again, you have to ask your lender about this because some of this you have to pay back. And there's programs. One of these programs you have to pay a portion of that back. You can't sell your house within a certain period of time. Some of these you don't have to pay back. Some of those are grants. This is where your lender comes in place, okay? But seller closing cost assistance, the reason why it's hard to get this right now, let's say for an example, because right now this is what we call a seller's market, okay? That means that there are more buyers than there is inventory. So all it takes is one other offer outside of yours, so a total of 2 offers, and if one is asking for closing cost assistance from the seller, and the other one is not asking for closing cost assistance, let's just put you in the seller's shoes. Which offer would you take? Exactly. So it's not that the sellers don't want to give it. Hell, everybody wants the same properties. Okay, so that's what ends up happening. Okay, but there are times when you still can get some seller closing cost assistance. The agents at Park Place know how to get closing cost assistance, but I'm gonna be honest, it's not what we're used to normally getting. But for example purposes, let's just use like $2,500 right now, because there are ways to get about $2,500 or so. Again, you can't guarantee this. You can't hang your hat on this entire process, okay? So again, guys, be sure to comment if you got any questions, comments, or concerns. Also, be sure to share this as well too, okay? Again, we always say we want good neighbors. In order for us to have good neighbors, you got to share this with your good friends. Now, if they ain't your good friends, you ain't got to share it with them, okay? But either way, let's say, for example, we got $2,500 from the seller, and we got $7,500 items money, okay? So that's going to now that's going to equal, let's go ahead and do the math on that. So we were at $8,750 minus $2,500. That's now going to put us at $6,250, okay? Now, doesn't $6,250 sound a whole lot better than being at $16,250? Absolutely. But wait, there's more, right? Now, this one you really can't bank on as much. By the way, you also have lender closing cost assistance. That's really not much. Some lenders will give you like about $500, $750, maybe $1,000. I'm not going to put that on here just because, number one, it's not that much. Don't get me wrong, every dollar counts. But I don't want you guys to be shopping lenders just to save $1,000 or save $750. But Calvin, it's my money, I want to do that. Yeah, but at the same time, there's no guarantee you're going to be able to get that, okay? That's why a lot of lenders don't really do it, just because there's so many other ways to save money, okay? So number 4 is going to be your tax credit, okay? Now, you really can't bank on this too much either, but this is guaranteed. The problem is that, of course, if you're in a neighborhood where the taxes are under $5,000, like well under $5,000, you're probably not going to get that much, okay? One great way to kind of look at a tax credit is to look at what half the taxes are. So, for example, if your taxes are if they're $3,000 on the property, your tax credit could be somewhere around about $1,500 or less, okay? Let's say that this property is in a neighborhood where the taxes are, let's say, $4,000, okay? So let's say the taxes are $4,000. So what did I tell you guys? So if the taxes are about $4,000, it's okay that you're gonna be around about half of that amount or a little bit less, depending on what time of the year you go by. So again, on average, you're probably going to be around about another $2,000. Okay, so then minus another $2,000. So minus 2,000, just as an example. Now you will get, again, you will get a tax credit, but we just don't know how much that's going to be because it depends on when you're going to be closing. And that number changes, okay? So that's now going to put you at about $4,250. Okay, so that's how you get that number down. Of course, so now you know how much you need to have. You know what programs you need to look for. And if you don't qualify for the programs because you don't know what programs you're going to qualify for, I'm telling you, you have no idea how this is going to go. Now, seller closing cost assistance too, it's a seller's market right now. But just like, you know, after summer, it's going to be winter. After winter, it's going to be, spring. No, wait, it's summer, fall. And you guys know what I'm talking about. The seasons are going to change. And so, but now you're probably saying, okay, it's a seller's market. They're not giving that much credit. It's going to go back into a buyer's market, and this number is going to go nuts, especially if you work with a Park Place real estate agent, okay? Just being honest. Because, and again, the reason why we try to get as much money as we possibly can from all different angles. I mean, it's nothing wrong with that. But you're talking about, well, man, Calvin, you know, if had I would have gotten another $4,000 from the seller, right? Had I got another $4,000 from the seller, I would only have to bring about $250 to closing. You're absolutely right. How can I get more money from the seller? Well, let's kind of dig into that just a little bit, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up, okay? So let's see here. How do we get the info for number one, down payment assistance? So you can actually Google down payment assistance programs in Illinois, or you can actually reach out to a Park Place real estate agent. We'll let you know one of our partner lenders, and they'll go over with you what programs do exist, okay? And then Brittany says, lesson learned. Hey, that's not a problem. I had a few lenders run my credit, which made me several hard inquiries. My credit went down. They didn't tell me up front I needed more income. You know, that's the thing. You gotta come, this is where it comes into place. You gotta talk to a Park Place real estate agent. 90% of our clients, we pre-vet them well before they even get to a lender. Most of our clients, by the time you get to a lender, there's about a 95% chance you're gonna get the approval. We rarely ever send people to lenders. We're not the type of real estate agency where it's like, hey, you want to buy a house? Yeah. All right, well, here's my lender. Okay, cool. And they run your credit. They talking to you and all the rest of that. They jaw jacking all the rest of that stuff. And then next thing you know, you're not approved. That's not how it goes at Park Place Realty. We make sure everything's in place. By the time we send you to the lender, it's an alley-oop for them. They already know that when they see our name go across the screen. But that's another video for another time. Either way, I'm going to wrap up with this, how to get more selling closing cost assistance. There's a couple different ways. And this is usually going to be based on, but again, you can't bank on this all the time because you have no idea what the sellers are going to do. And this is going to be based on your inspection, okay? Let's say, for example, the seller's already agreed to $2,500. These are your numbers here, okay? This is your estimated amount. Now, you have your inspection, okay? Now, usually you have your inspection before you before you know what the tax credit is going to be. But either way, this is where your inspection is going to be at. Now, let's say, for example, you have your inspection, and there's a few items that that you're not too happy with, for the property. You have a couple different options, mainly the three top options. Option number one is asking the seller, are they willing to make those repairs? Now, just because you had an inspection and there's things that you don't like about the property, the seller's not obligated to fix anything, but they most definitely can make those repairs, okay? Option number two, more common. The seller will more than likely give you a credit for that stuff. It's easier to give money away as a seller that you don't have yet versus having to pay someone up front to get it repaired and then say, hey, you like it now? So again, to me, I've seen credits to be more common, okay? Next, and then you have option three, that's to cancel a deal overall. I have a deal right now where it's under contract and there's an AC situation. The AC unit does not work. So guess what's happening? Well, now I say, hey, buyer, granted it's hot as hell outside, right? So who wants to move into a property that, that doesn't have the AC? So now we put the seller in a position where they say, listen, I can either go ahead and get this AC unit, get you a brand new one, or I can give you a $3,000 credit. Which would you take? Okay, so now that $3,000 credit, let's just say, for example, you take the $3,000 credit, okay? Now, guess what? That's going to be minus $3,000, okay? And that's now going to put you at 1,000. Oof, that's horrible. I'm over here. Okay. But you guys get the point. So that's going to put you at $1,250, okay? Now, again, you're going to buy this house, you ain't got no AC unit. So, yeah, you save some money, but obviously, you know, you're not going to move into no hot house. But at the same time, you got people that keep their windows down, you got people that got their AC blasted, okay? So everybody's different. All right. But either way, that's another way. This is another way to pick up some additional cash. But that doesn't, again, these things in real estate, it's a puzzle. And you can't just bank on a lot of things. I've had clients try to get down payment assistance through IDA, and things just didn't work out in time. They still closed on the property, but they were banking on that. They still ended up closing on the property. They didn't get the money they thought they was going to get. The neighborhood funds. People hear about them, they say, oh man, this program's out there, but then you don't qualify for it. Then you have seller closing cost assistance. It's like, oh man, let me ask the seller for a $5,000 credit. It ain't gonna happen in this market. Now, potentially it could happen depending on the price, depending on the other numbers in the contract. There's a couple ways to do that, but it's more difficult now than what it traditionally, I won't say traditionally is, but than it would be in a buyer's market. Then of course you have your tax credit. This is guaranteed, and then a good number to kind of go by is about half of whatever the taxes are. But again, you'll kind of get a feel for this number. There are professionals outside of your real estate agent. Let's say, for example, you say, you know what, Calvin, listen, my cousin's an agent, my mom's an agent, you know, whatever the case may be, but I know they may not know this stuff. That's perfectly fine. There are professionals to fill in these blanks. You can talk to the attorney, you can talk to the lender. The lender's going to have majority of those numbers for you, okay? But again, if you want a nice experience, Park Place is an option, great option for you to go, okay? So, of course, I appreciate you all, and we're most definitely, okay, let's see here. Okay, good. So I know there's a couple of comments I missed. Do apologize about that. Appreciate you guys stopping by and watching this video. Please be sure to share this video. Again, everybody wants a good neighborhood. That's how you do it, by sharing with your good friends. And of course, if you're ready to go ahead and start the process, go ahead and reach out to a Park Place agent. If you just want to look at the inventory, just go ahead and go to the website. We ain't gonna bother you, okay? Do your thing.